Well, have a look at this. It's the all-new Mercedes-AMG CLA45. Now, it's not often I will start a video review with the back of the car, but this is absolutely gorgeous. Now, I'm a huge fan of this rear end. I love these taillights, but best of all, I love these 90mm quad exhaust matched to this massive rear diffuser. It's a very, very good looking car. And if you follow through the side, you'll notice that side skirt down the bottom. Now, this car has got silver wheels, which I'm not really a huge fan of, but it actually works quite well with this red. And if you come up here, you'll notice they've still got the chrome accent, so this isn't a black pack. And these enormous 360mm brakes really do. It's a 6-spot system, and it really does work well with the car. It doesn't need carbon ceramics, and we have been trashing it around a racetrack, and it does seem to stop regardless of how many laps I've done. And if you come to the front, it's quite similar to the A45, probably not as aggressive. This doesn't have any aero kit on it, which you can get on the A45, but this Panamericana grille is very nice. And the good thing is, as good as it looks on the outside, it's a pretty good looking car on the inside too. So as you can see, it's quite similar to the normal CLA, but there are some major differences. The main one being this really nice steering wheel, and I really do love this mode selector here. So you can go from Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and Track. Now these two big screens really do make a big difference. The MBUX system in the CLA45 does have different settings for when you are in Sport, Sport Plus, and Race. Other than that, you know, you got some AMG badging here. The seats are sport seats. Quite nice. I probably wouldn't pick this particular color, but it's a pretty good looking car inside and out. But enough talking, let's turn it on and go for a drive. So here we are going for a drive through some country Spanish roads here on the outskirts of Madrid. And the first thing I think is worth pointing out is this is actually a really comfortable car. I've got it in comfort at the moment, and this car has the adaptive suspension, so which I think will get standard in Australia, but that is yet to be confirmed. But this road is by no means perfect, and this car is riding really nicely over the bumps. It's by no means uncomfortable. Now, the previous generation CLA45 was not something that I would personally like to daily, but with this one, I gotta tell you, I would be very happy sitting in this car every day. It rides absolutely beautifully. Can I also add, and I know we talked about the interior before, but having the head-up display and these two big screens really adds a very modern sense to this car. I do feel like I'm driving a car that was built for 2020. So I'm gonna go out of comfort and put it into sport. You can immediately hear the engine change note. Let's go into Sport Plus because we can. Oh yes, baby, that's right. So this engine, 2-liter engine, the most powerful production series engine of its kind in the world, 310 kilowatts and 500 newton meters of torque. It's ridiculous. It'll do 0 to 100 in 4 seconds flat. And that's actually 0.1 of a second slower than the A45. And the reason for that is that this car weighs about 40 kilograms more. So look, if you're going for outright performance and you want to win every drag race off a red light, you probably should pick the A45. And the reason I think you would go for this car is because it just feels a little bit more grown up. It's a sedan. I mean, it's like a really nice looking car, where the A45, you could argue, is a bit of a boy racer. It's a bit of a hot hatch. And for some people, that doesn't hold the same amount of appeal. This is really a more mature car with very similar amounts of performance. I mean, it still has amazing brakes. It still drives really nicely. And to an extent, I've found that when you really start to push it, like I'm going to do right now, this car feels a little bit less reliant on the front axle. Like, it feels a bit more rear-wheel drivey. And that's kind of hard to explain. It's probably because of the weight differences. But to me, when I'm driving it, I feel like this is more of a rear-wheel drive car than the A45, even though I'm told that in terms of weight distribution, they're almost identical. So maybe it's just my perception of it. But the other thing worth pointing out is, as you can hear this thing absolutely blasting away, this engine doesn't really have this sudden boost that comes on. It's very linear. The power and torque delivery are, you feel like you're driving a naturally aspirated engine. The other thing you should be aware of is that engine noise you hear is a little bit amplified, and I hate to say that, and I hate to admit it, and I actually hate fake noise, but this isn't fake. This is just the noise of the engine, just more enhanced for the inside of the cabin. And you may have also noticed that when I lift off the throttle, it doesn't crackle and pop like AMGs are prone to do. And the reason for that is European sound regulations, as well as emission regulations. So unfortunately, this doesn't sound as hardcore as the old car. But I am told that with a few minor tweaks, that would be an easy fix. Look, if you're wondering which one to pick, my opinion, my advice would be to go for the CLA45. I know it's 100 milliseconds slower, and why would you pay similar money or even more for a slower car? But honestly, 100 milliseconds in Australia with our speed regulations is going to make no difference. And wouldn't you rather have a better looking car? Because I certainly would.